Welcome to the League of Nerds comic book segment number 48. I'm John Cooney, here to talk to you about comics released the 2nd of January, 2013. Happy New Year, everybody. But before I get to my first five, I want to first recognize that Peter David, who as many of you know is one of my favorite writers, had a stroke over the weekend while vacationing in Florida with his family. His wife Kathleen reports that he has had a small stroke in the pons area of his brain, so I'd like to take a moment to offer my best wishes for a speedy recovery to Peter David. Also, if you notice any difference in my voice this week, it's because I'm recording on some new equipment that my wife gave me for Christmas, so you can thank her for the improvement in my tonal quality, but you can continue to blame me for the content. Alright, we'll move on now to my first five, meaning these are the first 5 books I intend to read this week, starting with, at number 1, Daredevil End of Days number 4. I've discussed in past segments my love for this book, particularly due to the all-star lineup of Brian Michael Bendis, David Mack, Klaus Janson, Bill Sienkiewicz, and Alex Maleev. I think part of the reason I appreciate this book so much is because Daredevil really was one of the books that ignited my love for comics, particularly the Frank Miller, Klaus Janson issues in the early 80s. So I was especially happy to find a recent interview with series artist Klaus Janson discussing his feelings on returning to the character. Quote, "My past work on Daredevil was very much on my mind when the End of Days came about. I very consciously made the effort to try and surpass anything I had done with the character in prior years, so penciling the series was a step in that direction. I knew that if I ever returned to Daredevil, it had to be a situation where I wouldn't just repeat myself. This is a character that I really love and wanted to make my return after something like 30 years special and worthwhile. The previous work that I had done with pencilers like Gene Colan, Gil Kane, Carmen Infantino, Bob Brown, and of course Frank Miller was great fun and for the most part still holds up today. But I definitely wanted to stretch my own artistic abilities and go beyond anything I'd done before." Close quote. Discussing the collaborative process with Bill Sienkiewicz, Janson said, quote, "I think it's fairly straightforward in the sense that we both follow the script and how it's planned by Brian and David, and the two of them will design and write a story and notate which pages are mine and which ones are drawn by Alex Maleev, Bill Sienkiewicz, and David Mack. I forgot who came up with the specific ideas of different artists contributing to the project, but it was all in line with the general approach that we all agreed upon from the beginning. We wanted to pull together as many Daredevil artists as we could and essentially make this a love letter to the character. All of us on the project have a deep affection for Daredevil, and I think it's safe to say that we all wanted this to top anything we had done before. He's a great character, and I think when you read the series, you can see how much all of us put into it. When the first issue was printed, I sat down to read it. I just thought it was a well-put-together comic that worked. Brian and David have given me a chance to draw a story that is the best script I've had a chance to pencil. They wrote a story that is smart, funny, sad, exceedingly well-paced, challenging, and has probably spoiled me for whatever's coming up after this. It's impossible for me to say enough good things about Bill Sienkiewicz. His inking has been, I think, the best inks he's ever done, and I know his work inside and out from being a fan of his, so I say that with a pretty wide knowledge of his output throughout the years. And he's only gotten better as the story proceeds. In addition to his enormous talent, he's a very smart artist who knows what he's doing and makes the right decisions when one of my pages is staring up at him. He's also been incredibly supportive of the project and my pencils, and you can't overstate how important that is. Our teams can rise and fall on the relationship between the penciler and the inker, and I always know that Bill has my back, as I hope he knows I have his. Discussing the remainder of the series, Janson said, quote, "I don't want to reveal any spoilers, but I can promise that every issue will have at least several surprises. That's one of the things I really like about this script. It takes turns that are very unpredictable, and I think that we'll visit pretty much every character in the Daredevil canon. I saw David and Bill over at New York Comic Con a few weeks ago, and we are reveling in the prospect of the enjoyment the fans will get as the series unfolds. And let me say that the series, when it's collected, will read even better the second and third time around. What you get from the first read is the reveal of all the twists and turns that the story offers, but repeated readings will unearth a lot of visual motifs, Easter eggs, hidden meanings, and the like. It's a darn smart script and well worth the time." Close quote. At number 2, we've got All New X-Men number 5. The first story of a new era comes to its conclusion, and one of the original X-Men will be changed forever. Senior editor Nick Lowe says of the series,
"I'm really, really proud of the story because this is one of the most emotionally true and emotionally accessible X-Men stories that I've ever read." And series writer Brian Michael Bendis adds,
"A lot will change for them. It's not like they're all going to be a group that stays together and hugs each other and holds hands and fights the evil mutants. What if one of them dies? What happens then?"
At number 3, we've got Teen Titans number 15, a Death of the Family tie-in. Red Hood and Red Robin team up against the Joker. Will Arsenal take over the Titans? Guest starring Batgirl. Series writer Scott Lobdell explains how the Teen Titans have been brought in. Quote, "The Teen Titans show up in Gotham to try to rescue Tim when they discover he's been kidnapped. The Joker, who is generally not a character that plays well with metahumans, rather than try to deal with them himself while he has all the Bat Family encounters going on, has set up a situation that's going to keep both the Teen Titans and the Outlaws very busy. They won't have time time or resources to track Tim and Jason. Joker set up a scenario that's pretty ingenious. I'd like to share it with you, but I think that when you see it in issue 15, you'll see the extent of preparation that went into the death of the family as far as the Joker's concerned. Close quote. At number 4, we've got Invincible number 99. The death of everyone continues. Invincible versus Dinosaurus for the fate of the world. Could this be the end of Mark Grayson? Robert Kirkman spoke recently about the planning leading up to the story building into the 100th issue. Quote, Invincible is planned out extremely far in advance. Sometimes storylines move here and there, but for the most part, the basic roadmap has been laid out for a while. I've been putting Dinosaurus in the issues he needs to be in for this story for at least 20 issues or so, and it's all been leading up to this, which is pretty exciting going into the 100th issue. He went on to explain the resolution of some of the recent storylines. Quote, I think anytime you reach any kind of milestone, you have to give some kind of resolution. In a long-running series, I think it's important not to give too much of a resolution because you don't want to give the readers a sense of, oh, that's a perfect ending, I'm checking out now. At the same time, you have to be setting up new stories with new beginnings. That's pretty much what this storyline is all about. It's closing a chapter on Mark Grayson's life and possibly opening another one, assuming he survives. Close quote. And at number 5, we've got New Avengers number 1. To prevent the collision of our universe with another, the Illuminati led by the Black Panther must assemble now. It's the most powerful and brilliant team in the Marvel Universe. The Black Panther, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, Mr. Fantastic, Namor the Submariner, and Beast against an infinite legion of parallel realities. Series writer Jonathan Hickman explains the New Avengers' role in the Marvel Now universe. Quote, New Avengers will be the most important book in the Marvel Universe for the next couple of years. It won't be obvious at the beginning, but I'm talking about in regards to the Avengers corner of the Marvel Universe. But we're going somewhere, and this is the primary driver for where we are heading. A lot of stuff happens in Avengers that is happening in broad daylight, and all of these big stories and big stuff and big moments are happening. But underneath it all is the stuff that is happening in New Avengers, and it just slowly bubbles to the top. It's kind of impossible to explain at this point because it's really an abstract construct, but give it a little time and it'll become clear. Close quote. Rounding out the top 10 this week at number 6, we've got Ultimate Comics Spider-Man number 19. Miles finally has his costume, his web shooters, and now he has his first A-list Spider-Man villain. There's a new Venom in town and he's hungry. All this plus Miles' new girlfriend and the return of award-winning Ultimate Spider-Man artist Sarah Pichelli. At number 7 this week, we've got Batman The Dark Knight number 15. Batman's final fight with Scarecrow is here. The Dark Knight has been drugged and beaten, but now he's going to stop Scarecrow's plans as he takes to the skies over Gotham City. At number 8, we've got Morbius the Living Vampire number 1. Morbius the hunted, haunted fugitive. Morbius the dead-souled scientist. Morbius, the living vampire. Somewhere inside Dr. Michael Morbius is a good man who just needs a second chance. After escaping from the raft in Amazing Spider-Man number 699.1, Morbius is scraping desperately through each day trying to carve out a life in a world that has turned its back on him. However, his redemption may be worse than his sin. Now Morbius returns in this long-awaited ongoing series where the line between hero and villain becomes brutally and bloodily blurred. At number 9, from Boom Studios, we've got Hypernaturals number 7. With their greatest enemy on the loose, the Hypernaturals are left with little choice but to pursue the only avenue of inquiry they have left. One that might save the continuum, but plunge the universe into a greater, more terrifying darkness. And at number 10, we've got Talon number 3. Talon's secret history in Manhattan is explored, while Calvin Rose searches for an important figure from his past. Plus, what is the mysterious organization that has ties to Talon? For the best of the rest this week from DC, we've got Batman Incorporated number 6, Bat Robots versus the Man-Bat armies as Leviathan takes control of Gotham City. Don't miss the return of the Heretic. We got Flash number 15, flash forward in time as Barry Allen goes to extreme measures to defeat Grodd. Barry uses the speed mind to glimpse the future, and things are not looking good for him and the Rogues. And that's before things get much, much worse. We've got Fury of Firestorm, the Nuclear Men number 15, Firestorm versus Captain Atom. Two of the most powerful heroes in the universe go head-to-head and things are going to explode. Don't miss this issue's shocking conclusion as the first hints of a disturbing new force in the DCU are seen. We've got Punk Rock Jesus number 6, and the thrilling conclusion to the acclaimed miniseries Chris and the Flak Jackets head to Jerusalem, the last stop on the world tour. But in this final concert, will the punk messiah rise above the protests from the world's 3 major religions, or will he take matters into his own hands? We've got Superman number 15. The Hell on Earth crossover event continues. Superman, Supergirl, and Superboy are together at last, and it's a disaster. Superman and Supergirl have very different opinions on how to confront Hell, and in order to stop a Kryptonian, Kal-El must seek help from Lex Luthor, the one person who does nothing but think about that. From Marvel this week, we've got Iron Man number 5. Extremist plus the Final Frontier equals Universal Doom. Will Tony have to betray an old friend? The debut of the all-new Space Armor. We've got Punisher Nightmare number 1 of 5, a 5-part, 5-week Punisher event. Special Forces soldier is injured and his family killed in the midst of a mob execution in Central Park. But this isn't Frank Castle. This time it's a young soldier named Jake Neiman. But the familiar story puts Frank on the path of punishment. As Jake Neiman heals from his wounds, why is he growing strangely stronger? And who is the mysterious Johnny Nightmare? Bullets fly, anarchy reigns, allies become enemies, the Punisher becomes the punished, and no one is safe. We've got Red She-Hulk number 61, No Limits. This issue reveals that Betty Ross has more in common with Bruce Banner than the name Hulk, the secret connection of Echelon and the end of humanity as the world computer crashes, and the last stand of Machine Man. From Image Comics this week, we've got Fatale number 11, the first of 4 standalone Fatale flashback issues, and a perfect place for new readers to jump on board. Welcome to the 1930s California, a hard place to be for a girl on the run. Witness Josephine's early days with the femme fatale curse and see some of her elusive secrets revealed. Got Harvest number 5 of 5. The bad news, everything is going wrong for ex-Dr. Benjamin Dane. His patient has been kidnapped, the FBI is closing in on him, and he's bleeding out in a motel bathroom. The only thing that can save him now is vast amounts of luck, his Yakuza bodyguard, and the 6-year-old kid on his shoulder. We've got Manhattan Projects number 8. They rule. They have waited and watched in the dark, and now the old money that runs nations is ready to make their move against the Manhattan Projects. It's the secret leaders of the world like you've never seen them before. Out in trades this week, we've got Green Lantern Volume 1, Sinestro trade paperback. The first 6 issues of the star-spanning series from DC Comics New 52 are collected in this trade paperback with stories by superstar writer Jeff Johns and artist Doug Mankey. There's an unexpected new Green Lantern in town, Sinestro, and now this renegade Green Lantern is set a course for Corriger with one purpose, to free his homeworld from the scourge of his own Sinestro corpse, with the not-so-willing help of Hal Jordan. We've also got Green Lantern Volume 2, Revenge of the Black Hand hardcover. Hal Jordan and Sinestro find themselves investigating a crime that leads them deep into the homeworld of the Indigo tribe. As their situation grows more and more dire, the unlikely team of these 2 Green Lanterns uncovers a secret that will change the Green Lantern Corps forever, collecting Green Lantern numbers 7 through 12 and Green Lantern Annual number 1. And last, we've got Fatale Volume 2, The Devil's Business trade paperback, the second arc of Image's new hit, collected just in time for new readers to jump on board with this week's issue number 11. In 1970s Los Angeles, Josephine can't hide from the forces of Hollywood, satanic cults and creepy 8mm films collected by wealthy deviants, and when a struggling actor and his wounded friend cross her path, all hell will break loose, leaving ripples that echo all the way to modern time, where Nicholas Lash falls deeper into Josephine's spell. Okay, so that's it for this week, but there are still plenty more books available at your local comic book shop, so be sure to check them out and see what else you might be interested in. You can let me know if there's a book that I'm overlooking on my Facebook page at he'sgotissues.com, where I track the books that I read as I read them. And you can also find me at theleagueofnerds.com, where David Brandon and I share everything in nerd entertainment. And a reminder that both He's Got Issues and the League of Nerds are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. So until next week, I'm John Cooney, and I've got issues.